in front of you that we're going to elaborate on our Black Hills. And if you haven't had breakfast, there is still breakfast left. If you need to have breakfast, go have breakfast. All the relatives that come far and near, thank you. We want to thank you for being here. We also want to thank you for coming to our meeting and help protect what belongs to our people. Our ancestors roamed this land. Our ancestors protect this land. They left a legacy, and we need to uphold that legacy and protect that. Makoche. And not hechon sa honey hechi. Hecho pielo. We know that there's protocols, as they say back then in English terms, and our Lakota terms. Wapeki, we chui washtishte lana, elpi. Nata omenicha pikteko. Oyukchan washtishte luhapi. Nata komeni lechonsa. Doshke lana washichu elpi, wapi hanakarapi. O hechos onkie wapi lechos onkara pikte kon. Wo pre tona hena egelumia pikte. Na we choye tona egele bi onkara pikte kon. You know, in the English terms, as the government made their agenda, they use language that our grandfathers never understood. Today, we understand this language now, the English language. We want to draft a paper so we can all put this together and give it to the Congress' attention. That this is our land. We know that there's a lot of disputes in the language. And I always say this, English language is very dangerous. It's how you say it, how you put it. That one word we can fight over. That one word we can fight over in the court system. That one word we can fight over because there's 10 different meanings in that language. Our Lakota language is only one word, one meaning, and we stand by it. And that's how our grandfathers, grandmothers stood by of that one meaning. And we're here today for that. So I just want to share that much, to elaborate, and we're going to get ready here. As soon as nephew Nick give me the high sign, we're getting ready out there to bring the staffs in. And we're going to place the staff. The staff is our First Nation. The staff is our first. Like we retrieve the American flag, the staff is our way, identifying our teal spice, identifying where we come from. And that staff has a lot of feathers. We are katona na ota ogalepi. And it counts coup, and it counts understanding that we do. So I just want to say that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring the staff in, so singers. Want to thank you. Thank you, singers. Everybody, please remain standing. Want to say good morning and welcome to Indian Collective Black Hill Sacred Land Return Strategy Session for the People. Heche ocheke wajiwa garing teko. Heche wana ampo ktale onhipi yunkant honkashla hochi chapik teko. Heche lena ikjewi chasha. Lena ikjewi wiyala heche. Wayukcha na sulaki lena washteshti. Wayukcha washte wopki lena gaga pikteko. Heche hekta kiat honkashla. Tronkashla na wapi lena. Which as a one heche hekta ka heche eyutham yuka. We choye lena eglepi. You can't tronkashla heche onslapo. Dukte heche anokopta nakapi onkiapo. Tratranka yutake. Trashonka witko. Ekchevi chasha onhipi cha heche hienekile hochi chapi. Heche sampra tronkashla. Wikpataka hechi wakiwi chasha shonko kan oyate pinichapi lechahitmo. Oheche wanzia takia tratranko oyate pi chasha lechahitmo po. Wio hiapanta wi hinapre yuka sente sapla oyate. Ampoi chahvi. Ampoi haiwi lechahitmo po. Oheche itoka hatakia. Hihan oyate wamakashko oyate lechahitmo po na ushlapo. Oheche wakata kia wakantranka. Na huambli oyate zentkala oyate kamakata kahito onkalupo. Wichoni washteste onya kapikte on heche ampetu kele hochi chapi. Oheche onchi makha onchi lechonsa. Makoche wakana makoche washte onki trapi lechon hipi. Onchi unshlapo. Dona heche wahutkala na chaga pikte on hena oyate hena. Wichozani wichako pikte on. Ochi shako trawo preni khatron kashla tako ashteste. Chanko ya bako reyun kana chile. Onke api dona hekta kya hena omane piunka lila wo pila chicha palo. Tronkashla unslapo. Mitako es. Oha, we're going to have the prayer song by the Ocheti Shakoi Community Academy. We also want to thank the Bowie Chachbi School. We also thank you for helping and serving our people. Our future. These are our future. They're not low on Piktalo.
Watch
Oh, thank you. Beautiful singing by the Ocheti Shakoin Community Academy. We also want to acknowledge Betu Uchakbi School for helping, serving for our people. At this time, we're going to call upon Woksape Manny. Kola tuktel nakai lechiao. Nish Mike nuktani. Manny kind of pretty much organized and here Mike Nuaki. Oh, he's coming anyway. And kind of design how the tables were set. So Manny is going to explain that. That's just how we're going to
yeah, I'm betu mitaki pi betu kile chemashtea iha wachankapi. Naha iomakipi. Wa pi wale unkagapi. Naha wana ake khesapaki. Ukiki kchukte. Ta hechas ibelukcho. Naha unkiepshni. Tcha wakanja na tcha koja. Na lel hun lawan hipi. O hena echa. Hechuk. Na ake le hechitu kte. Na hechitu ulapshni hanta. Doha ake unkapche uktae. Hecha he. Unkable zapikte. Naha ugna kaiwik champikte le ampetuki. Naha Ge sapaki le manupi. Ja iu hasloleapi. Na hantohantaki. Iwogalakapi. En na nija sloleapi. Let kiashna unkupi. Lechitkia. Kakini. Oyate het kiashna. Helogina unkup. Dakwa utruma hewa hi hanska abna. Hel na ku ake opti line na inning amo elia ukti. No hel kaku ke ya iu hanta. Ta gesapa kit khoela ya ke. Oyu ki pis e ya ke. Ja, wat ons na letke onkup. As ohinishni. No, atewa ki. He unki thawapi. Esa. That still belongs to us. As taku kreke oakachnerishni li la trea. No ahakam na keslaloi. Oh, relatives, I'm going to switch to e-language. So some of you may still be learning Lakota language. And I encourage that. Learn your Lakota language. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the children that were here singing. And that's the way we were taught. But I wanted to quote Mr. Movescamp, the last meeting. He said, the Black Hills are worth fighting for. And I've been thinking about that for a long time. And it is. This is where we originated. This is our spiritual place. They try to take away. So, without our spirituality, this is the place that we need to fight and get our Lakota back. Land back. And the healing begins. We need to heal. We need to start healing. Beginning with ourselves, our inner space. Not outer space, but inner space. We need to heal. All of us need to start healing that way. And then we get the Woksape back. That's going to be very historic today. I'd like to acknowledge some of my Lakota History 2 students are here today. And I like to acknowledge them because we talked about Woksape and how important it is. And we invited them here, and some are here, so they can participate in this historic meeting to be part of something good, something positive, something for our children. So I wanted to acknowledge them today that they're here. Also, why we are set up this way, okay? We are set up like a triangle, okay? And as most of you know, the triangle, the shape is very important in our culture. Why? Because the triangle is only half. If you flip this triangle over, there will be two. One for Mother Earth and one for our constellations. And our ceremonies are beginning. So that's very important. We do our ceremonies here, and also we do our ceremonies up there. So the triangle also represents that. It's represented in everything we do, even our beadwork. Some of you are excellent, do excellent beadwork. It's also in there, our designs, in everything. So, I wanted to, I encourage you as an exchange charter in Wia to keep participating. And one of the things that this, I served on a legislative committee. And the committee had some good people in there. And we had a couple lawyers in there was working. And I did my best work. I tried my best work of what I know as a Lakota man and what I know as the non-Lakota world. O'Nupa, two cultures. And sometimes our values get in the way between the two cultures. So we make a balancing place in the middle, and we we forget. Sometimes we forget who we are. But that's the way Tukachila made it. And that's the way we need to do the best we can in every day. Kale, petiki. Ya, woye, chikala, pre, ash, ya. Na yekstuya na nija tokelo kihika. Tokata kia. Chaku wan luta ke hapcha, ugna maunipi. Na petiki le, naku. Uhina jimpi. Na wapi kile uguluchtapina. Aha. Ka kia tukashla choyam ki het ke yankte. Hena wayankap na blezap. Na hatoku la hani shichaya unkuapi. Hena ungogolakapi na sloyapi. Ja, waeha apetu kile epchina ja lila ke yokpia wachiankapi apet. Oh, matako ya.
Mike, any Lila Atanka, we're going to turn it over to Kolan. Mike's.
Medakiapi, Jabariga Macha. Sete Chapi, Yuhavi Chasha. I was invited here to bring my whip to use to help keep order here. I don't know how they knew I had one, but I've carried it since I was 25. I mentioned it last time, you can't just go and you show up and use it. You have to be invited. When you're invited to use it, you have to show the people. There's a song that goes with it. Usually there's some kind of sanctions for not obeying the whip. They fine you. I've had to fine people. I've had to take whistles for people abusing them. I've had to stop drums. So I know how to use this one. When it was given to me, there was instructions that came with it. This old man named Frank Powderface, he told me each knot represents a Zuya. When you use it, you have to take it around and show the people. One round, then you turn, and you can start using it. They used to say, if you don't respect it, then you shouldn't be here. The fine, and I talked to the committee, is if you talk too long and you go off subject, and I know it's hard to do, and you start talking about your life story or other things that don't have to do with this meeting, then I'm going to come and I'm going to hold it up near you, and they're going to cut the mic. No fine. I heard somebody say that the notches represent thunder. That's wrong. It's a misunderstanding. This represents thunder. That Chanyuza. What most people don't understand, because you don't go to the grass dance ceremony or the Homaha ceremony. This is thrust into that pot. You dip this in the soup. You yazoka a wiajo. This is how you feed a whistle. You take that broth and rub it on there. The same thing is done for a bustle. You dip this on the spikes. You rub the puppy soup. These are some of the teachings. I first earned a bustle. I carried this. I've carried this. Each of them comes with teachings and understanding. The common man don't know. Unless you go to them, unless you participate and you're a member, people don't know about them. Our traditions are changing because we're changing them. Because we're not understanding and respecting these teachings. We have two purposes in life. Wo chantekia, na wo okia. To love each other and to help. So I came to help. I was invited to use it. You just can't show up anytime and start using this. Even when I travel with my riajo, my whistle, I have to ask permission. And the same with this. At home, we still use this. I still go to grass dance ceremony. I'm the one that prepares the puppy. So I just wanted to share a little bit about this and understanding so there's no misunderstandings about what this represents. They sat me down when they gave this to me. And they shared, whoa, honkoki at me. So I'd have respect for it and use it the way I was taught. And like I said, we still use this at home. We still use this in the grass dance ceremony. So, heche dua midaki api.
At this time, I'd like to call upon a relative from Hunkpapa, or Sissy Goodhouse. We choi, washteshtelana, wahokon kapina, lanahani hitchaso, tui Mary Randall Wixie, and we choi washteshte, ogalaka pichawanale. We call upon our relative, Sissy Goodhouse, at this time.
Ho ami take pi yuha chante washte na beg chuzapi. Le taku I woga kama shibcha. Taku e pinta. Le troka her. We are temai himna. Unka yuha washteste yankapi. Nach yankapi. Na duwe we chasha wa hignaye. He wogda kinkte. Nie he ohini na tiata ektak chi woyagda kinkta. Na tohantu kid I najinkta na Ya Woksape ish woeglakikte. This morning, my relative asked me if I would say some words. You know, I miss those unchis. My ina zitkala toi. They came to a treaty meeting and they talked to a man that was from Cheyenne River. And as we were going in to this treaty meeting years ago, there was a lady sitting at a table, and she asked us all to sign, the women, to sign this paper saying women can vote at treaty meetings. Yung ka inawaya omakiaka. She said, no, don't do that. You have to respect your husband. Respect the treaty men. Respect these men. So I didn't sign it. I didn't look to see who did or anything. I just went in. And Tui, Mrs. Quiver, they were all in there sitting in a corner and talking. And I called them the Golden Girls because they used to go every place. And they would speak if they had to. But they called over this man. He was from Cheyenne River. They said, we don't know him, but he's part of this meeting. So he can say something for me. And we want him to say a few words. So they told me, Okiaka. So I went over and I said, that Huina Ina, they want to speak to you. So he went over and they told him what to say. Oha, he said. And she said, we do that because we have our own right. The men, they have to respect us. They have to do what we say. At home, you should be talking to your husband about these things. So you can come to a good decision. He'll consider what you said, but you can sit and listen to what was going on and you tell them. And she said, in today's world, it might be changing, but you don't change. Her name was Nellie Tubles. And she said, at times, you have to speak. And I try not to. I also want to tell you that this past week I had a sister that was buried after 11 days. And I want to encourage you young ladies to keep doing what you're doing, because it was the young people that came and started a fire for me and took me in to Inipi and prayers. So you young people, I can see it growing. People say our culture is dying. It's going. It's not. Because my Jephashis, my other sisters, you know, everybody, we kind of forgot about that way. And I'm glad that these young ladies remembered me, because I forget to do that. We have our ways. So I told my husband, I'm ready to go. And I want to encourage you, if you do have something to say, this meeting, you can say it. I look to all you ladies sitting out there. You all have a lot of wisdom. You carry that, and you do have something to say. I usually tell my husband, because their words carried a lot of weight with me. And we do a lot of things on the side. I want to encourage you ladies to go to school, you young ladies. I'm going to finish Monday. And I'm 66 years old. It took me a whole year to get ready for Monday to finish. But I wanted to, because the Washichus, the non-Indian, at my school, they didn't know I did this. And they were surprised because I asked for time. So you young ladies, while you can, those master's degrees are going to give you the opportunity to teach what you want. The Lakota, the fluency, the language, you can teach that how you want. We need you. We need you in our ways to do that. It's like the 10 Commandments. We don't add 11 or 12 like the Washichus have strict to their teachings. We don't do that to Lakota and Dakota culture. I have a Dakota grandmother and grandfather that raised me. And I want to encourage you to do what's right in politics. Today, women went to politics. And we have to make these men stand up. You put your war bonnets on and you go fight for us. We shouldn't have to. We'll be behind you, and we'll have that gun or those knives to support you like we did a long time ago. We're going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to write. That's what we need. We need you young people to write, to do things. And if you need help, you go. I see many people sitting here. My Jephashi Darla, my in-law over here, Harold Condon, Jephashi Geraldine, Jephashi Wilma. I see all these ladies in their wisdom. Take them material, take them a shawl. Talk to them, because our teachings, you can't learn them from a book. You can't learn them from the internet. If you want the true Lakota teachings, go to them. Take them. You don't always have to give women tobacco. Take them something to feed their family. Coffee, sugar, piece of talo. I really like talo. But all of you, I want to encourage you. Tunka shila washag maya chai ampe tukire hey yo hey ho yo hey yo hey yo hey awa ichi glaka itro ki prawa unwelo hey yo hey yo hey ho yo hey yo hey yo hey hey yo hey ho yo hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha yo hey Hey ho, hey ho, yo, hey ho, hey yo, hey yo. Trunka shila washag maya cha ampetukile. Hey yo, hey ho, hey yo, hey yo, hey. Awa ichi glaka. Itro ki prawa hello hai mitaki hawasi.
Wanna thank Sissy Goodhouse, Pia Wogalakapi, Woksape, Lana Hitchens Wogalakapcha. At this time, we're gonna have the whip song. We'll call upon the singers, set the meeting agreements, time limits, 3 minutes per speaker. Jim will take care of that, and the timer will start when you start talking. We try to keep it in that way because we have a full schedule. Joe Okaki Wanalo, the Whipman song. Thank you, singers. Jim is our whip man. All right, we're going to go right into our roll call. Roll call for all treaty delegates. We'll call upon the reservations. How Alpo Hitchasa Yahiki Sloyampalo Oglala Treaty Council. Sichangu Treaty Council, Hunkpapa Treaty Council, Minikoju Treaty Council. Itezapa Treaty Council. Onia Nupa Treaty Council. Siha Sapa Treaty Council. Yankton Treaty Council. Kuwi Chasha Treaty Council. Santee Dakota Oyate Treaty Council. Hunkpati Oyate Treaty Council. And Sistan Wapatan Oyate Treaty Council. And other Treaty Council tribal representatives. Oha, Hechitulo. We have a quorum. At this time, we know the snacks will be served, so just we're not gonna have no break. So these young, beautiful ladies are coming around to ask if you need anything. They will bring you some coffee, orange juice, and other snacks. So at this time, we're gonna call upon our Treaty Council, Rick Two Dogs, Bill Means, Richard Brokenose, Richard Moosecamp, Robert Two Crow, and Justin Puyer. Let's just we're gonna sit at this table here, gentlemen. Yupo. Rick.
Hamadakiapi, Nick Tilson, Amachiapi, Chantea Washtena Pechuzapolo, Ekchevi Tasha. At this time, we asked the Lexis and Gakas to come up here to clarify the purpose of this meeting. And I know that we're on Keeley Radio, we're on the radio at Rosebud, we're online, and there's a few things I wanted to say to clarify, because a lot of times people say stuff that's not true, and people don't understand the roles. So the first thing I wanted to say, is that I'm Oglala from Pine Ridge. I'm Oglala. And when we wanted to make something happen for the Black Hills, I followed the protocol and went to Oglala Treaty Council members to talk with them in a good way. Follow the protocol. And that's what led us here. Because us as young people, we're just worker bees. We just want to make something happen for our people. Our intention and what we're about and what we're trying to do is to get the land back. From the very beginning of the first meeting that we had, we made it clear that this effort wasn't about the money. In fact, from our very first meeting, we said if somebody wants to talk about accepting the meeting or the money, then they could go to a different meeting. because that's not what this is about. This is about the return of the land back to our people. And really specifically, that's what the narrow focus of this is. There's a lot of things happening with all of our land, all over. And when we was in ceremony, one of the things that they had told us and direction that they had given us was that putting the whole Osheti Shakoi back together is a good effort, but it's not the same effort as getting the Black Hills back. It's its own path. It's its own power. It's its own thing. And the Spirit said that in the ceremony. And that was good direction for us. Because it feels like every time that we're trying to fight for our land back, then all of a sudden are we putting back together the whole Osheti Shakoi, which we should be doing. And I know that people in this room have dedicated their lives to that work, and it's good work. But this meeting here is about the return of lands in the Black Hills, and specifically the return of public lands in the Black Hills. This is only a strategy. It's one little part of a strategy for our people for land return. And so I wanted to explain that to the Oyate and to the people. Because we know that if you look around in this room, and we said this at past meetings, that if anybody amongst our people was trying to get, to sell the Black Hills, it's the people in this room that will be the ones to stand up against them. They'd be the ones to stand up against that, because that's who we are. So, and as a younger person, I wanted to go to my Lakshis. I wanted to go to the spiritual leaders. The Treaty Council was put back together. So out of respect, we took direction. And if they didn't consent to this moving forward, then we'll go back to the drawing table. We wouldn't be here. So I wanted to share that at this time because I have deep respect for my Lakshis up here. And, I wanted to also, clarify the role of the organization that I'm a part of and that many people in here are part of, an organization called Indian Collective. And we created that organization to help the people, to stand up for the people, to organize our resources. And I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of the work that we do. I'm not ashamed of being part of Indian Collective. I'm proud of being part of Indian Collective because I know it helps the people. Its role in this work is to stand behind and to support our traditional leadership, to organize resources to help make something like this happen. Because in a meeting like this, from different walks of life, it takes a lot of work to make something like this happen. But in addition to our being part of Indian Collective, we're members of Teoshpais. We're members of bands, and we carry that identity first. Who we work for doesn't supersede who we are as free, liberated Lakota people. Organizations are merely tools for change, but who we are as a people is in here. And I wanted to say that in a good way to clarify. And so we had a lot of good meetings with our Lakshis here, and we went through a lot of different strategies, conversations to get to this point. So I wanted to share that background and then hand it over to the Lakshis to talk about the purpose, intent of this meeting and kind of the journey of how we got here before we get into the rest of the meeting. So I'll hand it over to Lakshi.
Ja tokea hieni vaste pelo. Ona dona mitaki ja hipile na opile chicha. Yunkan la kolia khmaya money much. Ashwashicha Rick Two Dogs much. Ho kiuksa oyan ke mata ateva ki chata. Inoma ki chata wajaje hecha. Ho Tios by matro at the Iwicha capture hetan wau. Na Wishasha trachan ki he Mila Hanska trachon ke chapi. Ho chetan we chocha hetan wau. On alle chala troska woglak in hetchet trokiale tranhachi chai over hiotak lenakita it's elum hiuna. Wonyure kare het tuktelognaktikicha kichi wonglak apina. Ho hetche apeton el wonyure na wapile hochokan el aipi. Na toke wokiakap chala oglak. Ho hetche helogana onyampi. Ona ho hetche o kola ki chewa hetche hani na wichasha hani wichazo oyespi wichaka cha mila hanska o Lakota kagapi. On petu ki le ha hena echa trakozak pako ki le echa na harti ni un koyon na harti. Ho hetche makoche wa hetche no kichi simpen hekta ke on kiki tuktakti. Ho cha on petu ki le hetche hiotaka na hekta mnicha elwa hiu ha holazata misunkalank chi makina wongalaka vin koskala ko hiuna yopme anokop ten kapu lila I wonbalak chin lila na hakchi hoksila ashecha yopme yapit misunkala iena wokyak wa toni hechus na vichasa levi chasa kanka hecha to any hechus ni cha wo a echon ki he le trecha lena ota sloyap hocha le wakta wa hiota holazat le iota le vana troskava I chapsinto mi hat ja oman het angela wana khusnik I tegla ke mo isake shi chak ata ashe hani trakos wa khash le troskava Hocha ho hetche wa hut khama wana hoche mankaik da hetche unkojupi ho he wo echnkile hocha tuktelogna inkte ki he sloyamst ta kocha wokigle ke unkagakte ki he as woche ki he grahamonik ta kapi wa makashka lowampia ona makoche kile iaza Oyate ki woche ki kak yapi ki le hechun wichashipi hanta ho heche tiopa etan lugan ki ayoptia ogna ilalok te lu yapi ho he woichala ki ha mishan wa hiotak ho cha ampetu ki le inshe optele wa hiotak ne tueni makoche le wiophenk desni kapi Ik tjale makoche ki le hektak on kiki ktukte ho hetje. Ho hetje wakan e begin lena transje tak in zijn wogelak akte. Lena le hotran ka wogelak akele hektak we chak ook te lot. Ho hetje. Na tako op geen na waglu is kakte. In chi juha on Lakota. On kokach ne akte hetje met tak. Ho hetje.
Ja, meer lo ja was shichuki ha which has jo man kopi ki Richard Broken o so much up. Unchi ka heche la kholo gna chashe mata piki ishna wakta emacha ohena for the Panrich reservation etan hipi ki heche wola khota wan heche skawi chasha heche ahigalepi. Kan heche wichasha ithacha ki top. Heche wichaka khnefap. Little one up, smoke up, big road up. Young man afraid of his sources. I'm from young man afraid of his tioshpai etaha wahielo o heche. Otaku tona heche skawi chasha ki ho heche otroka heta taku na unkuapi. Kanaya unkuapi ki ho alehania heche oyate wichon uchake ki wo abalezeki na wo okachneki na wo unspeki heche yuha apetu kile unhipel o heche kan heche chesapa wo akhan chesapa ki he o heche pia ogana etkia wo ogalake ki hena unki chapelo unki chape o hantu ki ha 1868 treaty one heche great Sioux nation one yanke heche Minnesota Yanki, it said all the way to Nebraska, Ihoni, Wyoming, Montana, back to North Dakota. Great Sioux Nation, 1851 territorial treaty apiki. And then the Haxi on Kitha below. It's a Makocheki, it's a Doki over 13 million acres of Makoche, more than that. Heche hena oyate ki unhipi kelena oyate unkit kapelo. O hena heche skawa shitu ki hena heche na khmaya kapelo hena wa manu chashapina hena ya kapi. Koha heche maniwacha kwak ta hipi kun ha. Wapi wa sapa chagelo ha hipi. Gelo ha hipi na heche thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. Ja, na hena yuha ye washichuki e chumpi. Unkie othoka heta indigenous oyate unkie piki chanupa wa heche pte sanwi wa chanupa wa ahigana keki heta washa keki eta opetule han hakse yuha da onjepi. Otukte eta heche Christian wa cheke chashaki civilization Christianizing apia el unkahipi na tukteta ha ipach na unshipi oa shwana hektaka I chapsite you have a little money he ni chaps up sakok kai chel yenyong te Lakota ogna kai chel ogna yenyong ta tokia chan I chapsite ha kinata wa shichu hena chaka saksa ngi katokia O hechel khoya wa he ha la pink te lo tuksha Robert le o Europe ta Robert ta le hier le cha he tuksha la khol spek ya hona un petu le la khotie
Ele trahan wa ki ha letja stima ha on ke wa yo yap sketcha geliegel le la higel wel gepauki Wa tro mis matu ik ja wagala kind Hij kan la kholia we kan sakaha in matchup na washitia Robert Tukro in matchup na ja misha kiuksa tioshpa mata na tiwahe mo etan wa uki na kanri non pas echakiapi hoyka ele we chocha mo otechika cha I wogalagon shipi ona letia meniluza heta unkahi una wogalagon kiapi cha ata tiktogana ka tranchne le ocheti chacun oyate api o he taku kape ayunka ihani Thunkashla we chawa ashna one chalashna we choye he api Hoinka o spae, o iate o spae wai. Ti o spae wo I tracha. He tracha I ogalakapi. Hoinka hel witracha wai lilak sapata. O he witracha yatapi ka, etas yatapi. O he taku soleas ni na ish taku solea ya chihanta. O he kti wegala. O na I tunupa ki he na ish I wakichunza I chakiapi. O na helo halate na cha na I tracha ya o iate ki ha wichakti shkampi. O menichi na ish o skate na ish kakiske. O na hel bolotan hun ka apon. O he ish o kichi ze zuya o itrachan yu hapi. O na ha e a pahawa. O na ha o kaya. O he tum se wo itrachan he yanke. Te leo tukteo he na tohan balawa. Na I wambala ke ashi lehan o meniche chashaki ha. Ish wo chun ayu happy. O ish me kana wogalaka. Taku I wogalaka na wo ashi you happy na ishi. Taku hechel na you ha aki api. Ocha na wostan kahapi. O na maza skacha na hechumpi. O es lehan ayables api hanta maza skawanicha aya. Ocha le ocheti shakon eaki le na iotachti atas tagne maska iapsi. Ocha trakoja na tak tokum piktaechi. Na ish washi you happy na ish makhoche ki le unki trap kun kapta unki on happy. Ta koecha makhoche un hapashi wo lagi makhoki bishne ap. Cha hena echa I bulukchanas na elsna o boagalaki. Ocha wana I washe chamu hetai wana wegana ke ha le itashan le kegele okiap chincha. Ai waps kanji watchnas na waya wakon zept. Wana ta konsolesete. Ocha misha le Oglawa Black Hills Treaty Council apel Trajemaya na hel Yusi Machu Picchu. Hel hanta hel wania tu Yamani secha le opera. Ashi de Lakoti wana ha otaku ye na Oyate trokcha ota soichawa. Metrakhola ota. Ona ha inawa ki ha hunkuki si chango ya hacha. Ocha. Ena otaku ye na lila hechi wai hanta unkichushke han piesn. Trabunshka tapinaish taku. Ta komni dani ha Lacrosse pina ha ptala na unjipi. Ha shwa tukte hansna Ka kino kan ke on kino sim ke abasna. Na hetsetysn. Ja täällä taku itchunk on pitää äsna on balak. Jai ogna I hem snä tokas. Jam taku yepi bele heonkich apina le woapi wa shichu woapi cha. Le you ha ja makhoche ta unkigele kapana oilage ja piktaji. Lenat khakoja kechi waste pikte. Na trokata ta ungt. Ayable zapihan ta shichu kilehan lila ahoek chapi. Taku chon hechung ata wakach nechesneashi. El ohon kishi on kinajuna ha. Lechel lena un chimpelo, lena un kitrapi chon kichimpelo on keakte. Ohet na tagne maska oi chun kilokte. Un kiecha hena un karapikte. Ohechumse. So ja tona onamma khoptam bana wopila chicho. Waglu yes kaktash washichab mospischen.
I hope. How me taku ipi. An petu kilej. An temo waste na pchei chuzak. I like to give you that greeting. I'm not fluent in Lakota like these guys, but I'm always learning. Kind of like these kids right here that sang that beautiful song. I learned from the children, from my elders. I'm getting so, I'm catching up in age to all these guys. So they appointed me on the Treaty Council because I spent a lot of time at the United Nations in New York. And so before I went to the United Nations, I went and seen my role model, my chief. His name was Frank Foolscrow. And my uncle, his name was Matthew King. And they sat down and I told them that they want me to go to the United Nations. They said, what do you think, you know? What should I do? How should I approach this? Foolscrow said, well, he said, you know, we had in the United Nations, back when we were the Ocheti Shakoi, he said, we have different meetings. He said, one time when he was a little boy, they took him, they had a meeting at the Pipestone National Quarry. It's still there today because it's the only place you find pipestone in the whole world. It was given to Lakota by treaty, and Nakota and Dakota. So they said, we have United Nations. We had something like that, they said. So he said, ask some of these older people from other places to tell you. So I went on to New York, and it was quite a shock from going from Pine Ridge, Rosebud area to New York City. Man, the back alleys is bigger than the reservation. So anyway, I just felt that I had to look into certain things because some of the elders are always talking about world court. And so I started studying up and asking some of the delegates from other nations. They said, well, you don't want to go that way because the world court is owned by all the companies that stole everything that we have. Whether we're Palestinian, whether we're South African, whether we're Alaskan, Australian, it's those same corporations that run the world court. So even though there may be a case
I think there's maybe 1 or 2 successful cases that they dealt with for indigenous people anyway. But anyway, I learned that over there that you have to pick and choose within the United Nations where you can work, where you can be effective, where you can talk about your people. And we found out that the area of human rights was an area that most felt we could work with the treaties. So they gave me those treaties, Matthew King. He said, here, when you go to the United Nations, he said, put that treaty in the door, he said. That's going to be your key to get in. Otherwise, they're going to send you around to the tourist side over here, give you a tour about the whole building. So anyway, that's the way the old folks talk in terms of stories, in terms of, you know, they don't tell you direct things. They give you example. So that's what I did. We took that treaty over there and found out it's just as valid today as it was when it was signed. The people of the world understand what colonialism is. So when you get to the United Nations, you don't have to explain a whole lot of things about treaties. They know about that. They support us right away, especially the Palestinians. Now they're in trouble. You see what happens when you fight a war with the Washichu, or they got a lot of weapons nowadays. Before, at least, we could hold our own with a couple of bow and arrows and maybe a couple of rifles. But today, it don't work. If you watch the TV, you see what's going on to Palestinians. They're bombing them, everything. So we said, well, let's concentrate on the human rights and the treaties. So that brings us back home. We have to talk about what we're doing now. Building a nation, rebuilding our nation of the Ocheti Shakoi, of the Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota. And so one of the things I want to kind of finish with is in that unity, there's also the tribal council. If you look here, we find some councilmen. These are the good ones. They like, at least they're coming to see what's going on, to learn about how we believe as traditional people, is we want to have our own nation. We don't want to be in the United States jurisdiction. So they're coming around. So we want to know that the Black Hills belongs to them also. We have to get together in order to solve this question. We have a good chance because of the human rights, because of the way the world is, the way that we have access to media. We can send our messages out all over the world just through a radio station, Keeley and Rosebud and all those. So we could get the word out. But we want the tribal council to start participating. We see some of the younger people too that are starting to come. You see, they're even waiting on us, everything. And so I appreciate that, and I want to thank the young ones, like they said, somebody said, speaking this morning, that's our future, that's our hope. I want them to continue to participate, and boy, it makes our heart feel good when they sing those songs, those young people. We know they ain't going to do away with the Lakota. We'll be here as long as Mother Earth is here. So I just want to say that the tribal council needs to participate, otherwise we're going to pass them up. Because we've got friends around the world. We have allies who recognize the power of treaties, who recognize the power of human rights. And so we saw different governments change, like Nelson Mandela South Africa is no longer ruled by white people. It's ruled by Africans. Palestine, even though they're getting bombed every day, they're still surviving. They're kind of like us. So there's hope. There's the human rights that we're born with. Nobody can give you human rights. You're born with that. Only Tokashila gives out human rights. So if you remember that, then we're unequal to everybody in the world. But see, we have those resources. All over the world, the only resources left is on Indian land, or indigenous land, they say at the UN. Because the Washicha, they already divided theirs up, they already taken everything they could take, including now they want all the water. So I'll just say that much. Think about that, we're going to rebuild this nation here, not under the United States, under our own Ocheti Shakhoin. It's going to be hard, but we've got to do it. Otherwise, we don't have self-determination. That's what we're going for. Self-determination means we have the right to do whatever we can do. So the Black Hills is worth fighting for, as Mr. Movecamp said. Oheche tuolo, petaki oyas. Right now, I use this one. I wore it out again.
I guess my brother, Long Bill, wore his mic out, so. I'm done now, but he kept going. Anyway, Lana Yuhampalo, for questions. Anybody has any questions about the purpose of this meeting? And we're gonna go with the mic over there. There's some mics there. We got 1, 2, Manny, and then 3 way over there. We'll go right there. Whipman, where are you, Jim? He's right here, and these elderly, my relatives here, they're really scared because they talk 3 minutes. They don't want to get whipped, they said, so. Rick was scared, he said. So anyway, Hesho Silo, Yuhalo.
Okay. Homi taki pile I wange thanki kia buha. Trokel I charge pimitro ki he chanu paguha meni mecha wahi takina. Taku I wala ke watching dash. Lechara ki se taku I brawan ha. Woksape kile lechu se ewatu. Naha trokel tona huch Lakoti apikile emaktu jabshnio. Le takule eprekile wosu takile kitana Woksape he aikwakishni. Hohetaha takule na iwugala kokile wosu takile ipakilano na hawoyuk tankile yanke. Chawashichi apkhahanta Otran lechus e chano yakikte. Hohe wujikte. Chatroke le taku e prekile wosu takihe echa iwaglake. Thank you. So, for a lot of you that are questioning these illustrations that go on in this draft. Yeah. All right. Woo! It's still the same way, but it's all right. What I was getting at, it frustrates me that we all come here for a good reason, and that reason is about how to secure our land. Makochikile, Chesapa. Well, for a lot of you that know me, I'm up there anyway. Chun Noxe. I go up there and hunt freely, independently. That's the name of the game. And that's what really causes this crucial understanding. Because you all do this. You all say that, hey, we're going to go do this, we're going to do that, and then when it comes down to it, I don't see you up there. I got a place over in Deerfield, one on this side of Custer, one back here on Sheridan Lake, them areas. I go in there and cut. The reason why I'm exercising the validity to that is to get you to do that, to do the same thing. Now, some of you are looking for teepee poles. I don't even know where those are. But from whatever the circumstance is, that's on you, okay? That's on a lot of you guys if you don't like me. But I'm going to still do because it's mine, and that's it. The rest of you that don't understand the dynamics between it, I asked the tribal council from my reservation called Pine Ridge, if we're going to exercise the jurisdiction of a treaty standpoint, got to step up and do it. You don't hear anybody clap your hands and yell, right? Because, see, you're all ingrained in that structure. So regardless of what goes on, I support what Nick and my nephew Mark and them are doing. But that reality has to be unfolded before you. So my question is continuously, are you going to take that note on to pursue it a little further? No, man.
All right, Manny. Manny has a question. Then a relative way at and over 20 agala kikta English.
I wanted to make a comment on the draft proposal. I think what I read here is I think it's good to go, but there's one provision that we need to add on there, and Bill mentioned it when he talked, and that's to add the United Nations UNIDRIP law or whatever, the rights of indigenous indigenous people. I think that provision needs to be in there. What
page?
Wopila. Relative way at the end there. Nielo. She's waved her hand right across from you, Manny. Chat kata haya yugaga wawia. Wagala kinktanis. Nia na wagala kinkta. Tua wagala kinktalo. Yugalo.
Hello, Levy, two bulls in my job. Le Pine Ridge, Oyate Tawahi. Watiki redshirt table app. Chahel tona years, Helwanamake, Helignat Huna Helmake. Namanan Mishnala Chale Mani, Makaja Chabluha, Yohi Chaha. Ash Hakoja Kishnisha, heaps up. Sahina with Chabluhana. Hina iyo makpi. Ash lewahi ton ta mana ton akale wahi nanah nasna waglake. Ash le ake waglake kte. Oblake le wa taku chum ugna oblake nam Bluha, cha Blawa le. Ash, Lena, Wokra Koki, you have to, when a blue is cocked, you have to remember the people. This is good, the draft is good, but we have some stuff that, other things that have to be on it. You haven't really come up with the people. This is a group that's handling this, but like they said, how are we going to manage it, you know? Sure, it's going to go, but the management of it, the security of it, and the different groups that have to be involved in it. One talked about the United Nations, Indian people. Those are things that you have to put in here to have backup. You have to put some teeth into it. And one of them is it tells your fishing, tells different things. And in this here, you have these little towns with businesses, and they all have their business, whatever it is they're selling, whatever kind of rocks, things they got out of the Badlands, and they got out of the Black Hills. They're all up for sale. Now, what part have we in that? And you're talking of taking a lot of it back. And our people are going to have to come in, and if it's going to happen, set up shops. We talk about that. What can we do? What's going to be our part in it, you know? And I'm going to tell you something else, too. I have a granddaughter. There's several grandchildren that go to Lakota Tech. That's in Wolf Creek. You could talk to them. Talk to them about the Black Hills. Tell them something. They don't know. They heard it. One said, oh, they talk like that all the time. My dad talks about it all the time. You know, nothing, they have like lost interest or don't have no interest. So now we're going to have to come back with some stuff for them to know that, yes, once that happens, it passes and we get it all straightened out, then you can come in and have a shop.
Any more questions? Mic is open. Okay, we got Phil, then we have one in the back behind Phil, Bryce, and the lady over here besides Manny. Yeah, okay. Phil Olelo.
Mitake biuha chote washtiana pio choose papelo. La kolo chacha je ke trashuka hisha imacha na washitia Phil tu ego melo executive director Sichango Lakota Treaty Council Sichango Makoche. Taku obla ze kile wapi kile washte aya. As I want to I only have a couple of minutes, so before the whipman comes to stop me, so we have to address that we are not the Great Sioux Nation, and I see this all over this document. We have an opportunity to make some corrections in history. Just because the white men call us Great Sioux Nation, that's not the truth. To begin with, the treaties were fraudulent treaties that were brought by the white man, and our grandfathers had no choice but to sign them because something had to be done. So they signed them, securing a future for us. So these treaties were templates that were used across Indian country to other tribes. So I'm still standing on a recommendation from my treaty council to change that Great Sioux Nation to the Ochete Shakoi Oyate, but explain in there that from the beginning that we are wanting to correct that in history, and then continue calling it Ochete Shakoi, and we need to stop calling ourselves Sioux. The other thing that I only have a minute left is our people have been indoctrinated by federal Indian policy that they call plenary power, which is control the Indians. It means absolute control over the Indians. So these federal policies that translate into the IRA government today means that they're under something called a Stockholm syndrome. That means you sided with the federal government on many things. So we need to wake up from that. There's also something called a trauma bonding, and all this federal Indian policy turns into slavery. We are enslaved by federal Indian policy and federal laws. So I want our people, our relatives, to wake up from that. Let's stop using colonial terms in this document. When you do that, you're surrendering to the federal monster, the federal system here. That's why I'm open for discussion in the future.
Bryce.
Okay. Yeah, sinto still na pechius ba pero len petu ki michu happy ki le oyate tukai kiksi apte echa one wakoka ki uchina ina na wina wikoskala na huskala ki le wina wosa ki hab wicha tukte lava po na le po wichake taki le tukahe ni tokap ki le wogla kap ki le down na hupta po wicha kap te hecha na kiupa wakan wina ki he ahi ki le ektizim shniu he ndaku ulapi ki le heche tuktelu he wakan ahia in top ma coaching top kitro yate kile he ukia le ma coaching top ate ina uchi lawa he chesewe ishaka he top activity. I'd like to kind of reiterate what Mr. Twigo said here. Joaquin Chiclae, Mary, Barcelona, 16 years on IRA council, 28 years with some extinguished men that went into the real world. Only a handful left now. Kile, Utechika. Lakota Uga Kapu, Lakota Ukakli Kapu, Henie. Helkia. Right here in this Howard Reader Act that was forced on my mother and father by putting them in jail and putting them in mental institutes and forcing our people to get away from our southern rights with the chalupa, burning down initipis, burning down new log houses where they have no peace. That was a persecution that my father and mother went through, but none of us have. We're pretty free right now. But in this Indian Organization Act, it says the entire Sioux Nation, that's not who we are. If you speak Lakota, understand Lakota, you know Titwan. And we speak Lakota. Hey, we talk up to Hecha, Wana, Lampetiki. Lakota Hunters. If we're Scaman, then, you know, the English controls us. This is kind of another federal capture. Taxes in there. And the U.S. Constitution says India is not taxed. Jurisdiction, it's all ours. We need to come up with our own Rebche. We have it. We have it. How? Palama Palu. Chief. Palama.
Wastello. Layukailo. Wagalok Octo right over here on the across from Manny. it's time for you. Any more questions that before we go into our lunch and our debate here?
Who's talking here? Oh, excuse me. Good morning. My name is Eileen Grinnell, and I grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation. I am enrolled member of the Mandan, Hidatsa, Arikara tribes, and my mother is from Kyle, so that's where I grew up. I am an educator. I've retired from education, and so in looking over the first page, I want to address just two things real quickly. Being an educator, somebody said they used the language that our ancestors didn't understand. But today, we understand English, and the English language is a very dangerous language because it has so many meanings. So, and the other thing was, somebody said, Nahachji hena unkit tau below, so that meaning the land is still ours. So in reading the first page, going down to the first bullet, within 1 year of the bill's passage, the land within the re-established area will be inventoried and published. I'm wondering, according to the 1868 treaty, the lands that were set aside for us was established then. So why do we have to reestablish? What's the meaning behind reestablished area? That could be a problematic area if this should get to the, when it gets to the point of introducing it to Congress, if that's what the intent is. And the other one was going down to the second bullet. Also, any pending oh no, not that one. My eyes are kind of blurry, so I'm reading the wrong lines. Any existing rights issued by the federal government over relinquished federal lands are terminated, and the rights holders will be paid out by the federal government. That statement is really unclear as to who or what they're talking about. Also, any pending application for any rights are canceled. Yeah, I'm reading the bill summary. And then, so that, anyway, that bullet needs to be clarified. The section 6, where it says these lands within the reestablished area, again, that needs to be identified, has the right of first refusal to purchase any land that comes from the sale. And the Great Sioux Nation may receive lands. We don't.
Oh, thank you, Sarah Whitman. Sorry about that, but we're trying to move right along. So I know we have a lot of good ideas, a lot of changes. This is what we want to wongalak up on Chimpi. This is what needs to be established. So I was talking to my nephew here. We're going to have one day in the future strategize this so we can do something. So the mic is open. Anyone else with the question? Dave Swallow.
That's okay. Mataku apetukile Hotaku tik alo blakte le gesapa happy. He o maksla he hata happy. Wana wanetu wiktemla sakoi ake sakpe wahinasi. O he hata le ona atua ki so oksila he hata hole gesapa eu. Wana tkasla ki so oksila he hata gesapa eu. O petu ki le han akele kiwita pina akele honkepi. O hekte. O ta hole o se takwa o tita kapikte ki le Woglake, Holena Woyuk, to a steste, Johanna Kapi, Sjuta Akaya Egna Kapi. Holena, Hotka as Holecet Gla Sky Tashaina, Mila Haska, Oblena, Wogla Kakte, Knat Havitsoyik, Lila Ichit Hocha, Lakota Tavoyuk, Zeta. Ela. O Hel Heonsa Hole, Kahekta Nausepi. Nais Nakutakwa, O. Kichuta o kokipsne le lila iwachtnung silapsne na wokipaje unhapi. O heole na on kiwita abon kokipsne. Ena. Atela lila sky tasha tako wapel o akele witrulapi na ogna otchap o yamun schipi. O he o hunkapsne. Na he o tagni katia wiukta unisapi. Ena. Als een lakot gawit hot gaat zien wat want een lakot dat gewoonlijk zo nazi. Lenat khonkasi la hut kan het gaan ik leta hena woonlijk zo kelena uelo. Hena. Als hena het gloaka iektsupina ha hol sky tasho hena mile has katake kelena tok het hibe. Hena toat sin chat khaisni behetsa. Als hebben we nou onjamon koki dus. Wana lahan toha wakpani announcem sa soliapi. Na toha yot yunke sa soliapi. Iha kabuyonse on kiwasi tubase mon kokipsne. Na otechike na onkakisa. Walahan thakosa na ha sinkse mit chunkse at otapi kelila yot yeka pilahan. Heimut khata. Na hakn kospe on kokipsne sa heimut. Wala ni shehti. Wala na Othoka he. Oasla hetsa kakaake. Konkasla oasla hetsa which as uyuspake. Let me just say this in English language because many of you don't understand Lakota language, what I'm saying here. I've been saying the Black Hills when I was a young boy. So was my dad, my father saying Black Hills when he was a young boy. And so was my grandpa. He was saying Black Hills when he was a young boy. See? But today, we come here together to put ideas together. But the only thing we can, what enabled us because we have a grudge against one another. See, that's what enables us. We cannot come together as a great nation. You say we can only put it on paper. But the reality of it, we cannot come as a great nation because who's got here do this? Why? Why not? We cannot do that. Why not? Well, that's taken from us. You go to the Black Hills, and you're gonna see Lakota, Dakota living there. No, you're not gonna see that. Everything was, and when we gather here like this, what is the leader? Who's gonna lead us? Well, there's really gold over there, selling gold by the hour. If I'm out of the line, you tell me, people. You tell me. As we said last year, we come here. Well, hell, they're not warriors. We got a lot of educators. A lot of people that could read and write. I cannot read and write, but I know what's what. See? Well, are you going to trust that white man again? White man is going to give a piece of Black Hills back to God, right? You own that thing. And even right here, Gordon's motel room here. This is all ours. Everything is ours here. Get that paper. You woke up Rick Cloud, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they had them. 3 white men had them sign that paper while they passed me. To relinquish, okay, that won't be right there. Get that paper. Look for that. And they woke up started at 4 o'clock in the morning and they had them sign that paper. I know how you do you got people, you got educated, do the research. Now I need you to not people now and avoid them. See? Because it's supposed to be 1851, 1868 treaty. I asked Senator Ron, when America signed a treaty with Great Britain, did every U.S. citizen sign the treaty? No. I think that. Well, the red hand he has you today. Oh, who's going to lead us? Who's going to lead us? Go out, lead. Who are we going to follow? Who are we going to follow? Be careful, like they're doing the talk over here, white man coming, tricky. You have to be careful of that. I'm giving you that advice. I'm not trying to stop. Actually, you have to have that. Every officer.
Etchetula. De Wopula. Etche lena wop keki le yankek o honk le hake la hippie le whipman o happy na wop keki cholana na eglepi. O lila oyati wogalaka pe chimping ta cha hechons lena wop ke lena eglep. Ani hektakya o minichapi lena hechumpi gapi hektakya. Cha. You know, just to elaborate in English terms, some of our relatives come late, but we have a protocol that's set in place with this meeting, 3 minutes, and we have a whip man that's here, and when it's done, it turns the mic off, that's it. We have a lot of people here with a lot of good ideas. We want to try to stay in with that time. So we know it's a full day schedule. So I'm gonna have Bill, and then Wade.
Hello? Oh, okay. I got a question and then should be fairly soon. No, but our question has to do with the timeline. At one time at one of our early meetings, they introduced a timeline. So you can see what's happening here so far. Not everybody got the message. So I think we have to, what is a timeline? If so, I think somebody said it's the end of the Congress or beginning the summer before they all take a break over in Washington. But I think we should do away with any timeline because this thing has to go to the people. It's not just us. We all got friends and relatives back home that we want to take this to. So I don't think it's realistic to say there's a deadline of August 1st or September. I mean, even though Trump got in, that just makes us get out to vote more. We don't want him in there, then you better vote. So that's my feelings about this deadline stuff. I want to know if it exists, if we're still shooting for that, and then I want to make a recommendation that let's do away with the deadline stuff so people aren't rushed. That's it, too.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, Wade.
Sitting right beside him. No, Lexi. I was just giving my time over to the other Lexi while he was talking, just in case they were going to come over and try to turn off everything. So that's what I was going to do, was give him my time. And my son was going to give him his time too. To swallow.
Okay, we're going to answer the question here.
So in terms of the timeline that was passed out at the last meeting, Jody Archambault Machiap, I'm from Standing Rock, and I've been working behind the scenes and in the committees with this effort. And as far as the deadlines go, Lexi, Bill is completely right in the way that you're explaining that they're not deadlines, they were timelines. And like, I had concerns as well. I felt like it was being rushed before the people really got to see it and got to think about it. And even though everybody in this room is paying attention to it, there still is a lot of people out there in the communities that aren't able to come to these meetings. And so there's a sense of urgency. There's a balance that we're doing here. But it's not because we're going to make it in this Congress, or it's not because we're going to make it before the election. It's not because these are all just timelines of if we want to put it in this year, but it doesn't have to go in this year. There are real timelines in Congress, and they do exist, and you have to be aware of how the United States works, but it doesn't mean that as this group, as this effort to get the Black Hills returned has to follow that cycle. If we want to move quickly, sometimes it's because we don't want to lose the momentum that we have. So it's more of an appearance that we want to have an awareness of, if we want to catch. I look at it as like waves, like there's momentum when Congress is in session, but it doesn't mean we have to go by what they say. I always think that it's good to be aware of their cycles. It's good to be aware if we want it in this time. It doesn't mean that we have to follow what the Congress does. And the more that the people in this room take it out to the communities and make it more of the people, the less that there's people that are going to question it in the long run. That's my sense. And it's not about like we're just going to keep moving with or without the people. Of course, this is all about the people. And so totally agree with Lexi, Bill means, and that, we've passed some papers out before that had timelines on it, and it's more out of awareness. And if we need more time to come to agreement on the language of the bill, but the other thing is that we also don't want to get stuck in a cycle of not moving. And so those timelines are important to keep in mind.
Okay, I have my nephew here.
I wanted to comment on this too, because I agree we can move this work at our own pace, whatever pace that we need to as a people. And there's a lot of good comments that were made. There's a lot of amendments that need to be made to this draft. Those comments that were shared all throughout, everybody in here and those have to be incorporated into the draft. I wanted to share that our strategy, that the strategy for those timelines was one part of it. We never thought that we would end up getting a bill passed in 2024. That wasn't even the goal, that we would get a bill passed this year. Our thinking was that if we had submitted a bill this year, that we would get a hearing in the Senate. And right now, we would have a part of that hearing is the Department of Interior would be one of the ones that testified along with us. And with who's in the Department of Interior right now, we would get a supportive testimony from the Department of Interior that would go on to congressional record. And that would happen if we had a hearing this year. Then that would be in the congressional record that the United States government, that their position of the proposed legislation was that they supported it from the Department of Interior's perspective. The bill wouldn't pass in an election year. We never thought that. But we would get that on official record that the Department of Interior supports this strategy. And then moving forward, we would utilize that. We would utilize that testimony to move a bill forward in 2025, 26, 27, however long it takes. So I just wanted to share that was the only reason why there was a timeline put on there, was it was just a part of a strategy. But, you know, what's important is that we bring along our people. But I wanted to share that strategy was in there because there's an opportunity, because there's people in the Department of Interior who support this effort. There's people in the Department of Interior right now politically who would stand with us on a bill to get public lands back in the Black Hills. After the election, we may or may not have that support. And so that was just the driver behind that. And so I wanted to explain that strategy, but also at the same time, I want to also explain, or also share that I know that amongst our people, a lot of stuff has been rammed down our throat before, and it makes us feel uncomfortable when we move too fast. And so I acknowledge that and understand that too, that we have to move at the pace of the people. Too.
All right, even my nephew is on a time limit, so before he gets whipped. Any more questions? Any more questions? We're gonna keep going till the top of the hour at noon, and we're gonna break for lunch. So we got a question over here? Okay. One more. All right.
One more question. I still am trying to figure out this understanding with you guys. Just like Lovey and the other grandmother that's an educator. Woksape, I'm going to look at it from a different point of view. When you exercise the validity of your authority, which is the Chesapa, okay? Regardless of what goes on, I don't listen to anybody. But my point, the jurisdiction that applies to this, okay, there's a criminal penalty down here, okay, and then you got different things of the statutes. So, kohale daku eatuahata, Woksape kile wachi, okay, I want to know this for myself, because even though you get clarification for it, I'm still going to do it, regardless. And that's it. That's how I want people to kind of address this understanding. Because the criminal's jurisdiction, well, the Great Sioux Nation does not cede the exclusive criminal jurisdiction to over the reestablishment of the area. Right there. That piece is what I'm trying to get an understanding on, because a lot of you, regardless of how you see it, it might sound like Bill's older brother, Russ, but the fact is, we have to stand on something that returns it to what we want, right or wrong. Right or wrong. And that's it. So that's my question right there about exclusive jurisdiction to our title. I'll will it back to you guys.
Wastelo. Any more questions?
I have a quick question now.
Okay.
Are we going to honor the treaties by doing a 3/4 vote of the male population?
Under the 3/4 of the adult male is what's established in our treaty, and that's what we've been trying to do many times. But it takes all of us to decide on that. And I know my kola, Dave Swallow, explained this. When are we going to get along? When are we going to have respect for each other? That's where we're at today. We know that we look at other issues, and we have this in place, but we have to move forward. We all have to work together and to understand which part that we could help. All of you have good intentions. All of you have a role to put in this and how we could take this step further. Hechon sa wayuk chanana kakapi. Takomani. Wapche hane hena eglapi. Chatoshki yuthok cha munkagam na washte Lakota ki tren ki ha. Monik ta kapi ho hechon. Any more questions?
I got one over here.
Okay.
Bryce Lewis.
Bryce.
Joaquin Chicala. Yeah. Those old guys back home, their admin on that treaty of '68 has been violated. Never got the 3/4 male consent. Then they forced the 1877, 1887, 1889 acts upon our people to steal land, justify their genocidal campaign against women and children of ours. So it's null and void. The 51 is recognized. That's the land base, the mets and bounds, which we need to do calculations on. So when are we going to get that started? Okay.
Thank you, Bryce. Any more questions? Any questions? Robert.
Testing. Before we break for lunch, I know I'm hungry too. But I just wanted to share a thought on behalf of possibly clarifying what needs to happen. And this document should be considered a landmark effort by the Ocheti Shakoi because we have not written a bill as Lakota people, but now we speak English, and we were trained to write in English. So what we thought that we were doing was creating an intent to have lands returned to the Ocheti and if that happens, then we would do all these things that you're talking about. Because we will have some dollars, money to get professionals to come in and do these inventories and surveys and all of that, because they're going to throw that task at us. So that's just my thought, my opinion. And I know all of you have opinions, and they're good opinions and ideas, but to me, we spent a lot of time since 1851 signing papers that we didn't understand. And now we're doing our own, and we're trying to understand it. And yes, we do. We need to think about some of these things in order to make it close to perfect. Nothing is perfect in this world. Most everything is imperfect. Vitakupi washichukiha itenu papalo. Cha taku eapik teki hanana ko solinapi. Leoptala huota kapina ha. Wakoya longala kapina wankini chapshniash. Uchok tchachima luhapi chahana echa. Yewalia wap skagale unkakapi. Hochatohan wana wihina prichetkia tipiska tranka chaheki heche wana washichuki yawapi na yewala kapiktacha. Takomni heo ogna takon yutrokchokte. Naish takon chik ala yutrokchokte. Ash. Le wo a chima hapikile echa washake. He wo apskagale unkakapi. Trosha chaksa yuhawan shironis behanta. Wo abonshikakina timi in yakte. Hei wakia chashawai niyasukte. Hona yurikte. Ni guilty huo inkte. Naish ni not guilty ka inkte. Hoa tuktonji hinkta hechi. Heni trawa. Tele uapiki unkitrapi. Hona takomni waunga pinaha wabun kaka pinaha wing champicha wanahana unkpazo pikte chaishe waha priktela.
Thank you, Robert. We have a question here.
Wasuduta e macha pero ampetu kere yuha washtero berewa kantawa Emataha, Minnesota is my family, my bloodline. Today, my question for the people would be, in your solidarity, and even here, you know, I should have brought the documents to present with the people that needed to see them. And this document is a declaratory statement, and that is what is needed in the first steps of your, you know, joining together. The Great Sioux Nation, I agree that we go by Sioux Nation of Indians on treaty, but to the sovereignty and independence of our self-rights determination, you know, and this 3/4 adult male, you know, to have consent, not to infringe on anyone else's rights, whether it be on a reservation or within treaty territory. You know, how are we gonna function as a nation when we're always, you know, we're reverting the actual absolute perpetuity that we stand, on. So we present ourselves to the government as a nation rather than going at it with the bill is great, people, I know that's another avenue to go. But my question is where does your sovereignty and independence stand within yourself, Mine is that, like what Chanupa Gluhamani said, was to go up there and you take it. It's yours. Why are we always asking, questioning? People, nation to nation, they should just be given a notification that this is what we're gonna do. So I guess that's where I'm at, So, if you have that heart to move on things and act on them, then do it. But together as a whole. So that's my question on the 3/4 adult male and your sovereignty and independence and where you stand. Are we just always going to continuously allow the American government to be over us and tell us when and when we can act? Why are we doing that to ourselves? They approached us with the treaty and they asked us to do that treaty. Peace treaty or not, doesn't matter, it's still a treaty. In the fundamental dynamics of that treaty world that it came from, they recognized us as being a true nation. So we have to remember that as well. To move forward on it, I guess, is you gotta make your declaratory statement and your claims that you're wanting to move forward with the land back, So that's my question, to the people. I hope that something can get resolved on that.
Thank you. That's a good question for all of our relatives here. Any more questions? A question? Okay, down there. All right. Mic is open.
I don't have a question, but I have a suggestion about the timeline. We don't, when those of you that go back to your reservations and meet with the people there, you don't need to worry about having face-to-face meetings. We have Facebook, we have Messenger, we have, what else? Instagram, Zoom, we have all the technology available to us to use so that one day when you get home, you could have a blast out there to all the people, and maybe a questionnaire could be developed where everybody can answer the questionnaire or give opinions or give suggestions on that questionnaire to be sent in. So that's one way of dealing with the timeline. Thank you.
Real good advice. Any more questions?
Keith.
Oh.
Bryce again.
Okay.
We got this, after 20 years, we finally got the National American Indian Veterans Charter, federal charter, puts us up with the American Legion and BFW, and we got steps to take in order to certify our veteran service officers, but on the line of unity, and what was just brought out by our elder here is that I brought this to the chairmen of the Great Plains, that we need to tie these governments and the bets together under communication and unity. And just for your information, we need to get moving on these issues because we're probably the most discriminated veterans on our own homelands. Watch this. How?
Thank you, Bryce. Oh, we have a question here? Okay. All right, right back here.
Mitako pi tokai ayuha chante was ten pek cheese apo. Wambli wa hukis a he macha. Na hunk papa makoche he mata. I wanna say a couple words that have to do with basically what was been going on. I wanted to people talk about representation. I have a problem with that because when I go home, I run into the same situations that people are talking about here. We have a group of people that are all for it, and we have a group of people that are constantly saying, who chose you to represent me? I didn't choose to represent anybody. If they are interested and want to know, I gave them all the information to be here. It's their choice. I also have a group of people back home with a great group of people that support this effort because they understand where the negativity is coming from and how far people have to go to be able to do within their own selves, come to that point where we are gonna one day get our Black Hills back. I have felt that we need to do more education among our own people, you and I. More education as to how we can do this. I've asked that our radio station is open, constantly ready for anybody that wants to get on her. I listen to a group of people every Thursday. A lot of cultural stuff talking, but nobody's talking this, Black Hills. Nobody. I've tried to get on her and talk about the Black Hills, but it's those people that are saying, who chose you to represent us? So, next Thursday, you get on the radio station, our radio station back home, you tell them about the Black Hills issue. You tell them the effort that's going on. We had a ceremony that explained to me back in the 70s about throwing of the ball. They made a ball stuffed with buffalo hair. You can go get it right now. Stuffed with buffalo hair, and they threw it. And the reason why they couldn't throw it so far is because it was filled with buffalo hair. People would go get it and bring it back. It's called a leadership ceremony, as it was explained to me. Someday somebody would go and get that ball, but they wouldn't have to come back. That's what's going on here. We're throwing that ball and we're moving forward. Different ways are filtering their way in there. I don't mind being called a Sioux. Look at the treaty. Look at all these things being on there that are called Sioux. But at the end, who signed it? They have a place for the Oglala, they signed it. Sichangu, they signed it. Luhunkpapa, they signed it. They have places where different tribes have signed it. So I wanted to say that. I want to thank you for this time.
Wapila, thank you, Cedric. Pia Wagala, ke hit you to we have a lot of the treaty was established before our time, and our forefathers agree upon. Under the treaty was, they said, a great Sioux nation, and that's who we are. But under there, it has the reservations that the government put us on under the 1851 and 1868 treaty. But like I said before, our grandfathers didn't know, so they touched that pencil, agree upon. And we talked about changing the 3/4, taking a 3/4 adult male to Congress to make changes but we still haven't got together with that. So I just want to share that with you. And I know we have a lot of comments. We're having a meeting here in Rapid City at the Ramkota Suite 1 Sylvan room here in Rapid City. I know a lot of people back home are watching on YouTube and on the radio, asking questions that where it's at. And we have pros and cons. We have, like I'll say, there's positive and negative, but that's the balance. A lot of them disagree having this Facebook. A lot of them disagree having this on YouTube. A lot of them disagree to have it on the radio. But there's a lot of people back home that are happy that they're watching, listening, that couldn't be here. What we stand for today is this: Black Hills not for sale. We want to share that across whole entire nation. It's not for sale. We want our land back, and that's what we're here for. I had a child at this time, so any questions? All right, Dave has one more. Someone give Dave the...
One more time, I've been shut off, but one more time. We had a meeting about 5-6 years ago in Pierre. Yeah, Hikro and all of them were alive. Original Shetishako. We went over there about the Black Hills of Yukon. This is what they told us. Mr. Swallow, do you have a Social Security number? Yes, I do. Then you are a subject under the United States government. You're an American. So you have nothing to do with the treaty. Oh, hey, I'm just putting that out there. Oh, hey. You're not a Lakota. You're an American citizen. That's why you have a Social Security. Once I put that out here, we're going to answer how, maybe we could have our own source. Yellow.
Watch it. That's a very good question about that, because we dealt with that years ago. So at this time, we're going to turn the mic over here to Richard for a meal prayer.
Wo te a heche, you have a hiota, Chino, or a chill cap, Kulian capo, Shana. Or Shichu Kechelas, and was Lana, Kulia. Ixewi Sasaki, Kulian capello. Hotunkashila, Kotunka, Hotunkashila. O we ook beatak ja heche, heche wakio yatiki. Tronkon heche sabich anakechi heche. En dan taku lena iche uncha, kena etka naunkichi humpo. Wazi atak ja heche tratran yatiki na tronkon shaich anakechi. Hoa hitwayo, holena lechum sesa oichokom. Hena eheku, hena elohina shipiki, waunkichi kapo, ea heche hoa. O wiohion paho heche hakoyate te sapela. Tronkon heche zich anakechi ahitwayo. Holena chale chumte cha oicho khangta cha heki hina elohina jepiki heche Woksape elohio takapi. Hitoka ta heche ein kyanka soyate kino amakha soyate. Tronkon heche saich anakechi ahitwayo lena heche takutona heche elonya kupiki na wopila. O machpiaki na makayoko ki ho heche. On kashila kantranka heche. Ho wo te ea heche yuha unhina jipiki. Wo te kede luakana lupeju takta cha ea heche hoa. Mankawa eta unkicharapi. Na mankawa eta unhipiki. O heche wo te kede na mankoche ki na mankata enga na kapik teki. Ikchewi chashawa mitakuye. Holena echaop amaki khankteshni. Ohun keshni kina wakhenja kelena op travaute yukiama one piktacha ya heche hoya. Oito kachta kya heche wichana ri omnaewa oye. which Hanahi Omana Onki Hecha, or woe take a hoye meching tonka Hecha. Ish a woe take a igalaku pick tonka, Hakikta pictesha, Metaki of Amaki Hanktesh, or Metakieki, Metaki Oyase, or Hechetuelo.
Singers wanted to sing a song, and then all the elders be seated. They will bring the plates to you. Rest of us young ones will get in line. Elders be seated. Will bring the plates to you. Oye tenha, ni chau ktacha unsla kapo. O kake wana ea po olonje. Thank you. Opila Singers for a beautiful song. Upia olo. Washteshte kaya pelo. All right, John, are we going to go off the air, John Miller, so we could eat? Nobody, I don't want nobody watching me eat. We're going to copy Rick. Post concerns I might have why honey will top get. We're going to have lunch. We're going to go off the air. So thanks to the radio station, Koya, Magic, RST Live, Channel 93. Thank you. KILI, people back home. Thank you very much for listening to us. We're going to have lunch, and we'll be back shortly by another hour. Wopila hechelo. Thank you.
Oh, this is my mic. I say if you talk here, they can hear your recap. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to take this down for lunch. You heard all the discussion going on. It's going to be ongoing after lunch. We'll come right back up. Thanks for following, liking, sharing. We'll keep this live as long as we can. As long as we can after lunch. Thanks, relatives. Talk to you soon.